Hey guys, welcome back. And today, Josh from the Amateur Reader and I are discussing The Wandering Inn. It is quite an interesting story why we decided to do this read along. Please, George, maybe explain how it happened.
Yeah, I made a video and I titled it a not so good review. It wasn't like a horrible review, but I had some strong dislikes about the book. And then
We will
Anna
discuss them
said,
today.
"Yes, we will." But she had commented saying, she was thinking about rereading it, and you reread it, and we kind of finally after. I had to reschedule a couple of times, but finally we're here talking about it, and I'm excited because I have some things I wanted to discuss that I didn't talk in my original video, but I think having you to talk about it with will give me some interesting insight about the book. But it sounds like um, your first time through, you weren't a big fan, but as you read it a second time, you liked it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I have an interesting story, yes. The thing is like why I reached out to you as well, partly because of this reason for me, the story of this book for me personally, because I started reading it on Kindle about a year ago, probably like slightly more than a year ago. And I read probably through about one fifth of the book, and I didn't really enjoy it, and I DNF'd it at that point, at that
Hmm.
moment. But everyone like keeps talking about it because it's so
Yeah.
popular. And I was like, what the hell? Let's give it a try. And at that moment when I decided maybe I should actually try it again, I saw your video and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
that's a potential victim for us to read it together. And I reached out to you, and you were so kind to actually agree to read it together so
Yeah.
we can discuss it. And I was like, okay, give me some time. I'll catch up on you. So I will actually read it and we can discuss. So Josh was very nice because he had to wait for me to finish the first book.
Yeah.
I my second attempt was on audiobook. And I don't regret because I think audiobook is actually amazing. The narration is really, really good.
Mhm.
Did you read it or did you listen to it?
I listened to it just because I think I don't know if it was who's the current narrator. There was like the big news cycle of her retiring from the wheel
Yeah,
or
I think she
not the wheel.
doesn't do that anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think the book that's going to be coming out and the new audiobook for it is going to be a different narrator. And so I was just like, after everybody, I've heard of a lot of good things about it. That's why I started it, and because it's just like such a behemoth of a
Yeah.
title. It's like I kind of want to be on this like this wagon of people, this ride of just like enjoying this book. And so um unfortunately it wasn't like my favorite, but with that being said, like listening to your second review or your review of your second go through, I've been inclined to go through book two.
Yeah, we'll
So I'm
see. We'll see. Yeah. But
and I'm
I'll put
curious.
both reviews under this video. So
Yes.
if you guys are interested, I'll put my review and Josh's review as well, so you can have a look.
Contrast and compare, but
Yeah.
I have to ask because you read it. I know that there was like a revision done lately. Was the when you read it, was that before the revision? Do you know anything about that?
I don't know, to be honest. I listened to it quite recently, so I
Yeah.
suspect maybe it is based on the revision, but I'm not entirely sure. But before we go into intricacies, um, if, for instance, people have never heard of this
Yes.
series, maybe let's actually give them just like a general idea what the book is about. First of all, it's a lit RPG. So if, for instance, if you ever play role-playing games, RPGs on the computer, you're probably
Yeah.
already aware of the dynamic when, for instance, a character in the game is leveling up in the game, performing certain tasks, and that they are getting progressively better and better in their different levels. So this is a very similar dynamic in the book,
Mhm.
but maybe you can explain what actually like the universe and what happened in the books and who we meet.
Yeah, so I mean we follow Erin. She is kind of this like meek, shy girl that's like, I don't know. I almost kind of come off like non-athletic library girl, kind of like likes to read, you know. We find out eventually that she likes chess. So kind of like that paints a picture kind of like of who she is. And we're following her. She just appears in this fantasy world and has to like the first I want to say almost like a third of the book, like first 15, 20 chapters is her just like gaining a grasp of everything because there's different animals, different foods, different threats. And so it's the first part of the book is really just about her, yeah, just like it's almost like complete survival mode for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and at some point we meet another main character of the book. Do you have any
Sorry.
children there?
Yeah. He says, I'm gonna take
Yes, little participant as well. But while Josh is taking care of his child, I'll continue
right.
explaining the book. And the second character we meet in the book, the second main character, is Ryoka Griffin.
Mhm.
She loves running and she's dedicated runner in the book and she's going on errands as well. And it's the same sort of situation for her because she was just transported in this universe, in this fantasy world, and she doesn't know what's happening why she's there. And she's just trying to build a new life and tries to understand what's happening. But we get an inkling of a bigger world at the same time because
Mhm.
we understand at some point that it's not only Ryoka and Erin that we meet potentially in the series. There are some other humans, and probably they will be highlighted in future books, I suspect, because the more you read, the bigger the world potentially gets, and you really see like this other countries and races, and you see potentially a large world that is available to you as a reader if you continue with the
Yeah.
series. I found it very intriguing to be honest, because they literally give you like a little bit like preview of what is coming, but you're not sure yet. I found it very interesting.
Yeah, it's especially from the very, very, very opening scene with her escaping a very threat and how that's like there's more to it. And so
Yeah,
yeah, I like the contrast between Aaron and Ryoka. They're almost as complete opposite as you can get. Personality, their like physical attributes, and just like how they approach problems are
yeah,
just the complete opposite side. And they're both like, I feel like they're pretty fleshed out though,
yeah,
of who they are.
yeah, agree with you. But now, you mentioned already that you personally probably didn't really like the series as much as you would like to. Maybe tell us what you didn't like and maybe what part of the book that you actually appreciated.
Yeah, I'll start off what I did like because there is a lot of really good aspects of the book. We kind of talked a little bit beforehand. Um, I don't I don't have a wide bibliography of books that I've read, but of the books I've read, there have not been a whole lot of female main characters. And so this was like a really good book for like a good main character, two good main characters that are female leads that have like different personality types and like not all women are cutesy and loving of like random creatures. Some are just like kind of, like your gruff, mysterious men. Like Ryoka is just kind of like she's a little harsh and brash. And
Yeah, She,
so
she reminds me a little bit of like the sort of Witcher type, this like
yeah,
grumpy old man.
yeah. And so like I well what I love about it is it's a really fun fantasy world and but there are some really deeper themes. You kind of touched on it how there is like they kind of sprinkle in some like bigger world picture things. And I like that because like it starts you off very simple. Like it's just like very coned in on Erin trying to just figure out her surroundings. Like we don't
Clean the
know.
inn. To clean the inn.
Yeah, just the inn and just like literally like some people didn't like that about the book, how it's just like her just trying to find like a I guess minor spoiler, but like a cloth just to clean.
Yeah,
I actually really enjoyed that because it's just like something you don't really think
yeah,
about. Like if you were to be in a fantasy world, like you don't have to dust your inn in Skyrim, you know? It's just like things like you wouldn't think about like an actual fantasy world. And it's like I actually really enjoyed that and I like kind of the slow build and kind of the monotonous. Now, there was some things that were repeated a lot or just like kind of a little overdone, but for the most part, I really enjoyed that first, I don't know, I would say 15, 20 chapters. I was in love. I binged it. Um, yeah, really, really good. Did you, before I say any like things I didn't necessarily like about the book? Oh, one more thing I really liked about the book is kind of their villains, I guess you could say.
yeah,
Awesome, great. I the names are very creative on some of them.
yeah,
We can talk about that a little bit more, but like super, super interesting monsters and kind of other races of the world.
yeah. And
Um,
what you didn't like?
yeah,
Why
Ryoka.
such a, I wouldn't say negative review, but a little bit, let's say disappointing, probably.
Yeah, honestly, Ryoka, the second main character, was really hard for me. Um,
Jeez.
and I would have to ask like other people as I was going through it, kind of like explain the situations that like Ryoka was going through and be like, is this like, am I just being like kind of unknown sexist here of like how women are? But my gut reaction was just like, I just don't like her. And I know a lot of people are saying like she's not necessarily supposed to be liked,
I
but
don't
like
think so, yeah.
there was some situations where it's like we're kind of hinted at that like her earth life, she doesn't have a great family life. And I think some of those things carry over and I felt like the reason I didn't connect with her, I think that was maybe a hard thing, is I couldn't relate to her at all. Because even like when I've been in my worst days, I've never really treated other people that have had good intentions toward me in such a poor way. And I think that's like why I had such a hard time with the book. Because anytime like after learning Ryoka's character, anytime that she was on the page and I was listening to her, I was just like, oh man, it was like,
Again.
yeah. And it's just like, but the thing was like all the side characters on her arc are awesome, like great. I really like them. So it was kind of just like, yeah, it was just tough. Another negative is like there was some cringy moments. Like I know this is like a web novel transition, and there's kind of like in her early days, Pirateaba. I mean, I don't think they had any editors in the beginning, so it was just like them pushing out content, which is great for a lot of people. And so I think going into it, I didn't really have the mind of like there wasn't a whole lot of editing process in the very beginning. And since it's been like pushed out and there's been millions and millions of words produced, it's kind of hard to go back and edit it that much. But there's some cringy moments, and it's not terrible, but it was just like some moments where you kind of just eye roll and then you move on.
No, I agree. Actually, like, I would say I personally agree with everything you said.
Hmm.
But that's why, like, in my review, I mentioned that whatever you hear about the Wandering, at least like about the first book, because we are not really aware of what's happening in
Yeah,
the rest of the series. We're just talking about the first book. That's the only experience we have so far with the series. I think whatever you hear about it, it's true. The bad things you hear about it, true. Good things, also true. I think
yeah,
it just depends on how you personally feel about them. Like, for instance, yes, I agree that I actually really enjoyed the sort of domestic feel in the beginning when she's like trying to figure out the in. But at the same time, as you mentioned already, the way Pirateaba went around it is a little bit clunky because I think it would really improve with some editing. It just feels very repetitive and a little bit maybe amateurish in the beginning. That's why I think like that was the point for me to DNF in the beginning because I was like, that's a little bit too repetitive. And plus, Erin Solstice as a character felt so annoying. I remember the number of times she literally repeated, "Oh, it's not fair." Whatever happened to her, she's like, "Oh, it's not fair." Okay, it's not fair. Life is not fair. Can you just change the message here? I just find her very annoying in the beginning, especially when we don't really have much more exposure in terms of the rest of her personality and when she doesn't really have connection with other people. And this is the only side of her you see when she's like literally like going over and over this annoying thoughts in her head and you're literally exposed to them on the pages and you're like, oh my God, can you please
Yeah.
stop? That was my feeling in the beginning. But after that, I think it's like it gets much smoother when we progress with the book, when we meet other characters and she starts interacting with other people and just starts doing actually a little bit more stuff. I think it's like it's getting better. But in terms of Ryoka, I do agree. And again, I mentioned in my review that she is very unlikable character, and I do believe you're not supposed to like her. It's very difficult to like someone like that.
Hmm.
Um, and in the beginning, I was thinking because I felt personally that I was unfair towards Erin as well because I found her so childish and so naive and so annoying. But at the same time, oh, I'm like a grandmaster in chess, something like that. I'm like, are you? But at some point, I just caught myself as like, it's not necessarily mutually exclusive things. You can be girlish and
Yeah.
naive and maybe clumsy and all these things, but you still can be good at chess. You still can be a logical person.
Yeah.
And it's just my maybe little bit of remaining sexism just like flared in my brain. I was like, oh, she can't be like this naive girl can't be good
Yeah.
in logical endeavors, which is absolutely bullshit. And I caught myself on this thought. I was like, I'm so unfair towards her. What am I doing here? And when we moved to Ryoka and her behavior, because to be honest, she feels like a psycho. Because you feel like she just goes through her I don't know routines or whatever she's doing. She has pretty much zero regard for people around her.
Hmm.
And it doesn't even matter if they're good to her or bad. She
Yeah.
just doesn't care about people around her and she's so single-minded on her own goals and stuff. And I started feeling like, is she psycho actually? Because you don't really see any sort of emotion there. But, and I was thinking, but maybe I'm actually unfair towards her as well, because you mentioned that we do sometimes perceive women in a different way. So women supposed to be
Yeah.
likable, they supposed to be friendly and smiley, and when she's not this way, we start judging her as bossy or aggressive, or maybe it's just normal behavior, but because it's coming from a woman, we start judging her in a very different light. And I was thinking maybe I'm at fault here again. But after that, I realized no, especially like you mentioned this scene in your review when she caused a fight in the inn all of a sudden, and I was like, no, I'm actually right. She has a problem. It's not me being sexist. She has very deep, disturbing issues happening
Yeah.
in her head. But at the same time, I was right and not right, I realized. Yes, I wasn't unfair towards her, but I don't think she's truly a psycho
Yeah.
because she does experience regret and she tries to analyze her behavior. So she's quite complicated character because she's deeply flawed and you hate her sometimes because it's very difficult to relate to someone like that. But at the same time, you see that person is trying to do something about it, probably failing. So she's complicated, but I think in order to follow the series and generally enjoy reading it, I think you have to be just comfortable with some very, very flawed characters, let's say.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I think also some things I didn't necessarily like about her is, well, maybe what would help is they kind of sprinkle in some backstory of to her, and they kind of touch on like why she is the way she is, or kind of like her attitude. But a lot of that just doesn't feel like justified. So maybe if there was, maybe in future entries, like it kind of goes deeper and like into why, or like her person, and so maybe that would help. But yeah, I don't know, it was just like all the moments that were happening to her was it just none of it felt like justified to her actions. And on top of that, like i'm I'm okay with like characters that are just like jerks as long as there's consequences to it. She was
Yeah,
just like phenomenal at everything she did, and it was
yeah.
just like
But don't you think it was sort of a theme in general? I think it's a generally theme in literary RPGs. What I noticed, I'm really sorry for like interrupting you, but like you mentioned something that I was actually thinking about. Because a few literary RPG series that I've tried, usually the main characters are just phenomenally great at everything. They're just leveling up very fast and they're like heroes of the day. In Wandering In, I would say it's sort of somewhere in the middle, in between. They are still very, very good at pretty much everything they do. They're leveling faster than the native population. But at the same time, I'm thinking like, wouldn't be boring to read someone leveling up in
yeah
10 years. It's sort of intentional, but at the same time, you feel like it's a little bit, um, I know it's stupid to say something like that in terms of fantasy book, but it's a little bit like removed from the reality, you know?
yeah yeah I Are we starting to enter like spoiler territory? Because there is like one aspect, like I think, because I mentioned, I think before the phone call, that I listened to a book called He Who Fights with Monsters,
Mhm.
kind of similar, like, you know, leveling up RPG. He's like at low levels, he's beating people much higher level than him. Kind of like, yeah, kind of what you're saying about Ryoka. I guess, real quick, are we entering spoiler
Yeah,
territory?
okay. I was thinking actually, let's maybe say, like, discuss one other small thing before we
Mhm.
actually move to spoilers. And when we move to spoilers, guys, we will obviously announce it. So if you are interested, you can just stop. But one thing I still want to discuss, I guess from listening to you, I already get that Ryoka Griffin was the least favorite character for you.
Yeah,
Who was your favorite one?
man.
And why?
Kilvakich was
Kilkich?
he was pretty fun. I don't know
You can
why.
pick several.
Okay, he was fun because he's just like a very honorable dude, and he's just like badass, and just kind of like multiple swords, you know, and just kind of all around good dude. And I
By the
liked
way,
his,
Kiltkitch is Antinium, and he
yeah,
is one of the senior guards in the Liscore city. So,
yeah,
one of our main characters meet him pretty much in the beginning. Yeah,
yeah. They're kind of like Aaron's buddies that are kind of
friends.
like
Yeah,
check in on her once in a while.
yeah.
Her and Relk is
Ralk,
his,
Ralk.
yeah, which is like another thing I liked about the series is like I've never heard of like people really using ant race, Antinium, or, you know, all these like super like kind of odd choices, but it's fun. It works. I'm here for it. But yeah, so I would say Kilpakicha is pretty fun character. I don't know why. Um I don't want to spoil it, but Aaron's companion later on that's in the inn, Bones.
Oh, the
The
skeleton.
one that, yeah, I for some reason I like him. I
Yeah,
like those
agree.
non like verbal companions and stories that are just kind of there. So yeah, those two I really like. And when I said earlier, a lot of the side characters are awesome.
Yeah.
There's a lot on Ryoka's side that are really interesting. They all like kind of have their own thing going on. Like the whole what was that whole team's name?
And the Haunts of Amara.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like all of them, they're pretty cool. They have their flaws, but they're like what I like in a story, like a solid team that just like they know each other so well, and when they get in a fight, it's just like they don't need to really speak of what they're doing. They can kind of just do their thing, and then they rely on each other. So like that whole team, I really like.
Yeah, no, I agree actually, yeah. And I personally do share one of my favorite characters with you, Killkitch.
Yeah,
I found him very interesting, even though I feel he's quite rigid in his own ways, but I think it's very understandable. I think he goes through quite interesting personal growth as well. And he's just
yeah,
a very interesting character generally because he's really trying to be something that he's not. And
yeah,
you can like really see it.
yeah,
It makes him a little bit complicated as well. I think like Relk li literally like a simple guy. He's
yeah.
just going there and fighting. That's it. There is no much like thinking usually happening there.
Well, yeah, Relk is kind of like the very, very black and white,
Yeah.
like bad person, take them out. Good
Yeah.
person, do what you can
He's
to
just this
protect them.
like sort of like knight in shining armor just
Yeah,
comes and like kicks
like
everyone's butts.
classic fantasy, like old school, where it's like there's no gray area. Whereas like Kilbakich, like you can tell he's like there's a lot more nuance, and like while he is like you said very rigid, because that's just kind of like in Antinium's like
Yeah.
whole lifestyle. Like they're a hive mind, and so it's like they don't really think about themselves too much, and so I like him because he's very consistent in how he interacts with people, but you can see like on the underlying themes to his character that he's trying to grow, and it's like it's even something simple as like making a decision that's not necessary for like the hive's benefit is
Yeah.
such a hurdle for him, and it makes sense why it's such a hurdle for him.
No, no, I agree with you. But I think so far, it's probably very unpopular opinion, but I think my favorite character so far is Rugs, the little
Rags.
goblin.
Oh, yeah,
I
I like
love
Rags.
her. I love
Yeah,
her. I feel she's such a badass, and
yeah,
she's like this one of the characters that you don't really expect anything from her. And she just grows a lot, and she's
yeah.
intelligent and resourceful. I love her.
Yeah, no,
I
Rags
want her to
is
rule the world.
yeah, no, Rags is awesome. I love Rags. Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot about like I didn't forget about all the Goblin people, but I kind of forgot about Rags. So I'm excited to see where she goes in the next entry. But
Yeah. No, I agree. She's great. Like, oh, I love to see more of her, to be honest.
yeah.
And another character I found very fascinating, shame on me. I just like while we have this conversation, I was trying to actually recall her name. Maybe you will help me. Guys, I'm really sorry. Um, Lady, the one that was really trying to get information from Ryoka,
Okay. Yeah.
the the noble lady. I don't remember her name, but if you read the book, you know her.
Yeah.
I don't remember her name. I'm really sorry. I should have probably checked it. I usually remember the names of the characters, but for
I
some
think
reason,
anybody that's like listened to the book and say lady, you know who it is. It's the yeah.
yes, she's just like this noble woman. She's like very nosy. Like she really wants to know everything, and she's like this sort of um how can I put it? Like a spider character. She's in the middle of the web and she's trying
Yeah,
to know everything and just pulls all the power towards her. I
yeah,
think you're very fascinating because I still don't know, we still don't know her motivations. What she's actually
yeah,
trying to achieve. That's why I find her very fascinating because I feel there is a little bit more depth to her,
yeah.
and I really hope she will be expanded in the future books. I want to
Yeah.
see more of her.
She definitely comes off like a Game of Thrones character. Like there's a lot of political game in
Yeah.
her area. And yeah, she's because like she gives off such a strong image when you first interact with her. And then it's just kind of like peek a little bit under the hood, after a while with her, it's like, oh, there's a lot more to her. And it's like, yeah, you never quite know exactly
Yeah.
what her motivations are. And that's kind of like a whole mystery in itself.
Nah, I agree. But I think it's fair enough. Let's move to spoilers now. Guys, if you want to read the book, if you haven't read it yet and you're excited to read it, maybe just stop here. We will discuss a few maybe spoiler points after this one. Okay, here we go. So, as we already mentioned, this is the spoiler part of the video. And I think Josh wanted to actually go back to Ryoka and discuss some of her very questionable behaviors.
Yeah. Okay, so I already mentioned some things I didn't like about her, but I think what also made it really hard is like, and I left this for the spoiler section is, I mean, I think she kind of says it early on in her arc or story, is she doesn't accept magic or leveling at all. So she doesn't have any special abilities, nothing. Because like, I mean, I guess if you're already in this portion of the video, you probably already know like the leveling system, but you can level up in anything, it seems like. Like, I mean, Aaron is leveling up in innkeeping. Not something you would typically see in like a RPG. So it's like anything like you can become a runner, you can become all these different things. And so other people in her profession, like running various items or messages or whatever to where, different parts of the city, different parts of the country, world, wherever it needs to go. Like these people have leveled up and gotten skills that help them with this particular area. Now, my hard part with Ryoka is um, it's not that she's like a low level beating higher levels. It's she's no level. She doesn't have any magic, no special abilities, and it's like I think the reasoning behind she's so good is because she's like on Earth a track athlete. But I've always had a hard time like being like, yeah, but it's not like being a human track athlete is like you're fast, you're good, but you're not like magical. You're not like anything crazy. And maybe there's like in future entries there'll be something that kind of explains it because I don't know, there's things that kind of like made me feel like there's maybe some special things about the humans that are coming over.
Mm,
We don't even know why the humans are coming over, right?
yeah,
That's still a mystery. So maybe there's like something like special attributes for humans, but like yeah, it was like one thing she was running like multiple marathons a day and then got like 20 minutes of sleep and then had to run like another marathon or ultra marathon, all these like crazy things. While at the end of it, I think you kind of mentioned like her bar fight. So she's
yeah,
like ran an absurd amount for like even like the most elite people in the world. And then she's like beating up these big brawler people. And so it was just like, I think that was like another reason I struggle with her is just like none of her badassness really made sense to me.
yeah,
On top of her just not being a likable character. So like her doing just like awesome cool stuff while not being likable was just like I just couldn't like look past it. Yeah, I think that's my biggest gripe with her.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think I already mentioned, yeah, that generally humans feel a little bit unnaturally good, better, let's
Yeah,
say, than the local population in certain things. Like, not even in certain things, whatever they do, they're for some reason better. And yes, there is no much explanation behind it, but at the same time, maybe it would be boring for us just to sit and watch them like
sure.
leveling up for
Yeah.
like next 10, 20, 30 years. I don't know. Yeah, I just I think it's a little bit sort of complicated. But the thing you mentioned about her not accepting the leveling system because she's actively refusing, by the end of the day, you get this notification in your brain, oh, you leveled up in something, rejoice.
Yeah.
And she actively stops the messaging and she refused the system completely because she finds it stupid. And Ryoka sort of like, not sorry, Ryoka, Erin quite often mention the sort of things, not necessarily about leveling system, but about the world in general. Oh, it's like a stupid thing. It's like stupid world. Like why it's done this way and not that one. I was actually thinking, I had the feeling, isn't it a little bit arrogant when like, I don't know, it may be just my thing, but it gives off a little bit of I'm really sorry, I'm not a native English speaker, and sometimes maybe I'm putting things in the wrong way, but
We can figure it
it
out.
was giving me a little bit of a maybe like colonizer sort of vibe. We come here, we are
Yeah.
better than you, we know better, our morals are superior, we will teach you, and we refuse your system, even though your world was functioning for
Yeah.
millennials probably this way. But we come over here and we know better. Didn't didn't it give you a little bit of this vibe? I was thinking
I
sometimes, I was like, you are coming here to assimilate probably and learn the world, not to change it.
yeah. No, definitely I'll be honest, I think going through the book I didn't really notice that, but like as you were just saying that, like that makes a lot of sense. Like just everything like they're good at is just like, oh yeah, I'm better than that. Or like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's not how you're supposed to do things. That's not how you're supposed to interact with, like like think like they just know the whole political landscape and just like how everything functions. And it's yeah, I it that does make a lot of sense. It kind of comes off like, yeah, a
A
little
bit
colonized.
arrogant to me personally.
Yeah. I'd
Probably,
be interested in what other people have to say about that because
yeah, guys, if you read it, please let us know because I did get this feeling. A bit
I
of
haven't
like
heard that
arrogance.
yeah, I haven't really heard that that theme or point mentioned in other people's videos or like anywhere else. So that's
Maybe I'm
super
just
interesting.
maybe I'm just overly sensitive to it. But I was
No,
like, I was getting this sort of vibe a little bit. I'm pretty sure it wasn't Pirateaba intention.
yeah, it didn't
But
seem that
it
doesn't
was a
seem like
little
necessary.
bit like, oh, we know better, especially in terms of morals. Maybe some morals of that world are questionable, let's say Antiniums, because like we were already discussing our Kilt Cage case. He is a progenitor of Antinium hive, so he is a more elevated figure
Hmm.
and he can act independently of the queen uh, and sometimes against her, but his sort of function mainly in the book was actually to try to make, as far as understood, to make other Antiniums more individuals. But at the
Yeah,
same time, every time they're trying to make something like different or like they're getting out of line, they're being punished for it. How can you
hard
make
choice.
a thinking individual if you're literally babysitting every step they make and they are like brutally punished for it? So there is a sort of discrepancy between your intentions and your actions. But that's the way how it was working for them. And there is lots of generally think like moral themes
Mhm.
in the book, and they're discussed. and like our characters, they know better. Oh, you
Yeah,
can't do that. You can't kill monsters, or you can't do that. And yes, it gives more depth, and it like, sorry, I'm recovering from cold. It discusses lots of moral points, and many of them are fair, but at the same time, maybe unintentionally, it gives off a bit of an arrogance feel
yeah,
to it, in my opinion. It's like we come to you and we will teach you how to live better.
yeah. Kind of like trying to rewrite a whole race's like culture and
Yeah,
identity
history,
is just like
everything. Yeah.
without like trying to feel like I feel like Aaron was making a lot of those points of just like how, you can't treat them like that, but it's like not saying it's right to treat them that way, but like in an ant's world, like they're not really individuals. Like they are a hive mind. Like their whole purpose is for the queen. So it's kind of like, yeah, she's trying to like, yeah, it is comes off a little bit arrogant. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's definitely, we're not saying that the moral choices that are made in the
Hmm.
book are wrong. They're definitely right. But at the same time, the way they're going about it, they're not necessarily trying to understand why it is this way. They're just refusing sometimes it from the get-go. They're like, okay, that's wrong. That
Yeah.
shouldn't be this way. They're not even trying to actually understand the culture and the background of certain behaviors, why things happening as in certain ways. That's why I was like a bit like, you a little bit like arrogant here. I don't know. And you mentioned before about other things about Erin, and we can actually link probably the same when she was having some
Mhm.
female issues and she had her periods. And in this fantasy world, at least like in the city of Liscor, because there are no many humans living in the city, there are no really like sanitary products for women.
Yeah.
And she was literally raging about it. Oh, how come you don't have it? It's like it's so bad. But it's like you're coming to a different society. What do you expect? It felt like so naive and entitled to me at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and it's like I know Aaron's character is supposed to be pretty naive and kind of uh like that, but it just felt like yeah, it felt like a lot. And it's like I kind of talked to you before, it's like I'm a guy, I don't really know what it's like and I know like I've talked to other women about it. It's just like every woman's cycle is different and how it affects them. Like some it's very light and some it's like extremely like debilitating. So it's like I tried to picture it's like she's experienced the worst of the worst. Like and like, I'm coming from a very ignorant point. I'm a man, don't know at all what it's like. But it just felt like no matter how much pain I've been in, like I've broken bones, like I've been in like serious pain before. Like I've never felt like that other people need to cater towards me when in like other people are humans in my world, but she's like in a completely different world, like you said, where they have no idea what's going on. This is a foreign concept to them, like literally totally ignorant. Like they've never even heard of it. And so yeah, it just came off a little, like you said, naive and just kind of seemed out of character for her to react in such a way. And um yeah. But it was only one chapter, but it was kind of like one I talked to my wife about it and she's like, "Yeah, that's kind of interesting."
But at the same time, I feel like it's sort of, I think it was a little bit drawn out, this episode of her pe having periods. But at the same time, actually, it's kind of cool that it's actually in the book because
Yeah.
it's usually not even being discussed. They're just like blacked out in the culture generally. It's like no one is talking about it. It's like hush hush.
Yeah,
Sort of
like a
like
taboo
positive
subject.
point as
Yeah.
well for me
Yeah,
as a
and
woman. So it's
I
like there
want
is no shame about it.
yeah. I wonder if like because it's not really something talked about in fantasy books. Um, if Pirateaba was trying to really play into it, being like, no, this shit is like what women have to deal with.
We discuss
And
even
so
going to a toilet.
yeah,
How many times you see people going to toilets or bathrooms in fantasy books?
yeah. No, so
Never.
it's like maybe that was like intentional to really like put that out there and be like, this is an uncomfortable thing, but it's like everybody, that's has periods deals with this. And so maybe it was the representation or kind of like the foot forward for like it to be a more openly discussed and like less taboo thing because it is just a natural body's
Like half
thing
of
and
the
it really
population
shouldn't be.
has
Yeah, it
it.
really shouldn't be so taboo, but humans are weird.
Yeah. Well, as we can see from the Wandering in, other races don't even know about it. So
Yeah.
it's fine. But yeah, and I think you mentioned before in our spoiler-free part of the video that you were very impressed about some villains
Yeah,
in the
yeah, yeah,
story.
yeah. The one that's like stood out to me the most is near the end of the series, like we kind of the big reveal is this like they're it's like a dungeon that they're gonna go
Dungeon.
loot, and then it's like turns out to be like, oh, this is way more dangerous, and it's because there's this villain who's called Skinner, and it's this like old mythological like creature that's like nobody's like, oh yeah, that's like the Loch Ness monster, like that's just a mythical creature that's not real, but no, it's like actually a real thing, and the when I was going through the book, I always gave Pirateaba such huge props of like their description of these villains and like bad people because they're grotesque. They're very very bad. But what I kind of mentioned to you is the naming conventions. Skinner is a little like on the nose. Like okay,
Yeah.
like it could have been a little more like creative, but if that's the worst of the that area, then that's okay.
Yeah, no, I agree. But I think it's like generally we were like pre-discussed as well. It's
Oh
like it's
yeah.
so impressive how Pirateaba manages to combine different genres even. Because like
Mm,
when you
mm,
start, it's literally like a cozy fantasy. You end up in an inn and you're cleaning the inn. You're trying to find some food. It's like it's very just like typical cozy fantasy. After that, we get a little bit more hint of the world. After that, we get some horrific interpretation of Error and Solstice with the Goblin Chinta,
yeah.
Chieftain? Yeah, Chieftain,
Yes.
my English. Uh, and like she's going through some horrific things like assault and like she kills him in an absolutely like disgusting and horrific
Yeah.
way. And it's so like sort of dark fantasy, like grim
Yeah.
dark almost. You're like, what the hell? She was just cleaning the inn and now this stuff. And after that, it's more like maybe epic fantasy when like the world is opening up and like we see the like more of the world. And at some point, it's like turns into horror at the same time.
Yeah.
It's like I found it very impressive personally because you get all these like different genres blended in together.
Yeah.
So
It's definitely like a melting pot of genres. Just like, yeah, you don't really know how like a certain scene is gonna go because like you said, the setup in the beginning is very cozy, very like typical fantasy, and I was just like how she was approaching and solving a lot of different problems was like, oh, she's gonna like befriend this chieftain, or it's gonna kind of resolve in kind of like a neutral way. But then it was just like, no, it's like it just kept getting worse and worse and like more horror because they're like hinting at like doing bad things to Aaron, not just killing her. And
mm,
so like her reaction was appropriate. Like
yeah,
she was fighting for her life in the only way she knew how. And so it was just like it made sense, but it was still just like out of left field, didn't see the uppercut coming. It just like, wow, that was shocking. And the thing I really liked about it too was it horrified her for a very long time period after. And like I feel like in a lot of fantasy books when somebody does something like it's kind of touched on a little bit, but then like the character grows and moves on and kind of like maybe thinks about it once or twice. But no, this is like it changed how she interacts with like other people and like kind of gives her a resolve to like not try to do that again. Like she tries to befriend the
Yeah.
goblins and kind of, look past like all these stereotypes of like, oh, goblins are evil. No, like she really focuses on the individual. And I think that's cool.
Yeah. No, definitely. You literally see how she's being traumatized and how she's dealing with this emotional trauma after this sort of things. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you, actually. I don't know. I found it like such a weird experience generally
Mhm.
reading the book because there are so many things that could have been done better. But at the same time, there are so many original, inventive, and
Yeah.
generally good things. I think on my part, it is definitely more positive experience than the negative. I think for you, it's probably like somewhere balancing in between. I don't know.
I feel like if we were to look at like a pie chart, the parts I liked about it was a majority of it. But if you know how like when things are graded like in school, like some questions are worth a lot more points,
Yeah,
like the parts that were bad for me just like consumed and like made me just like forget all the rest.
yeah.
Um like the whole Ryoka stuff. Like I'm probably being unfair to her.
No, you're not being unfair. I think
Yeah.
probably you're just not maybe sometimes comfortable with very unlikable character. It's very, very difficult to root for her, even to
Yeah.
tolerate her, to be honest.
And I think you kind of mentioned that as like you in your review, how you as you like read more unlikable characters, it's not like you like them necessarily after you kind of like experience a lot of different ones, but you're like you said, comfortable, which is kind
Yeah.
of an interesting way of putting it. But yeah, so maybe as I like my scope of books expand, then it's like it won't be such a problem area for me. But yeah,
I'm not
because I
even sure it's coming from like number of books you read. I think it's just like I don't know. It's why? I don't know why. Honestly, because I don't want it to like to appear to people like, oh, if you're like you read more, you're like you are more enlightened and you get a better understanding. I think it's like bullshit, to be honest. I think just like certain
yeah,
personal preferences. Yeah, I don't know.
yeah,
I think much more comfortable with Ryoka than Josh, but just for my personal reasons, because I think in general in my case, even if I don't like the character personally, I just feel like, are they consistent?
yeah.
Or
Oh,
are they
she
just or are they just
was.
like or are they a little bit complicated? Are they actually interesting to follow? Or they're
Yeah,
just these mustache twirling villains with no much depth and sometimes questionable behavior? Then yeah, it's like, well, come on. But in case of Rock, I think there are more interesting things like inside that kept me going. And I was like, okay, she's she's bad, but
yeah,
she's interesting to let's say to follow to see how she will progress, what would actually happen to her in the
yeah.
future. And about the future, do you think you will be reading the second book, or what do you think?
I will do it if I can do it with you. If we can do this again on book after book two, I would love to listen to it. I'll do the audiobook again because I think that really brings to life
Yeah.
a lot of the parts. And I think I'll just mention this quickly, but like I watched your video and Murphy's video. your first time through it, you read it. And I wonder if a lot of people that experience it reading it have a hard time because um, uh, Andrea Parsnu, I think is
Erbsner.
the
I can't pronounce her
yeah.
name. I'm not even trying. I'm like failing miserably.
She brings to life like
Yeah.
the emotion in those. So like when you were saying how you read Aaron saying like things are just not fair, I remember when I was listening to the book is just like she was in like how the voice that she gave Aaron was like when she was saying that she was in such despair and like I could relate to that because like when I've been in very uncomfortable situations like when I was younger and just like going to uh being away from my family for a while and just like in a very scary moment and being like you're just so uncomfortable, you're in a different world, like nothing is right. And so it's like I could totally understand her being like come off kind of whiny,
Yeah.
totally
She was a bit
understandable.
whiny, yes. That's a
Yeah,
right way of putting it.
but I feel like the narrator gave her such like she did such a phenomenal job. So yeah, I all that say I'll listen to book two.
Okay, let's do it together then. And
Okay,
at some point, I'm not sure if we will manage to do it in August. We'll see. Uh, yeah, because books are huge.
they're huge. Yeah,
They're
we'll talk
huge.
about it.
But yeah, we will catch up regularly and we'll see where we are. And guys, we will have another video after the book two, and we can discuss it. And we'll be very, very happy for you to actually join us and give us your thoughts and ideas. That would be actually great.
Yeah, I'd love to see all the people say what they have to say.
Yes, thank you. And please leave us your comments because um, the beauty of all this experience that actually we can discuss everything together. We are not alone. So we don't need to read and experience
Yeah,
things alone. We can actually discuss them and exchange our views and ideas. And there is no right or wrong idea. We're just friendly here and we're discussing everything. So
yeah.
please leave us a comments. And Josh, thank you very much. It was
Thank you.
actually a pleasure to have this conversation. And we'll have
Yeah,
another one. And we'll be chatting offline as well.
yeah. Thank you for being so kind. Like I've already mentioned it to you a couple times, but this is my first time talking with somebody like in this book two realm, and so I was very nervous. I actually got shaky a couple times, so I had to get like a blanket and put
Or
myself.
maybe I'm shaking here as well. You just don't see it.
But thank you. I appreciate you.
Okay. Guys, see you soon. And I'll see you soon, Josh, as well. And we'll be chatting anyway. See you. Bye.
Bye.